There's someone in your life right now who can't stop thinking about you. Their thoughts are consumed by you, and every moment they're not with you feels like an eternity. You can see it in their eyes, hear it in their voice, feel it in the way they're always there, ready to support you. They're crazy about you, and it's undeniable. They've been holding on to this love for so long, hoping that one day you'd see them the way they see you. But there's something they're not telling you, something beneath the surface that they're afraid to reveal. Because as much as they love you, this relationship comes with a price. It's not just about the connection, the passion, the sweetness of being together. It's about the sacrifices they've made, the choices they've put aside, the pieces of themselves they've had to leave behind. They've given up parts of their own life, their own happiness, to be close to you. And now, they're wondering if it was all worth it. They feel as though they've poured so much of themselves into this love that they're starting to lose sight of who they are. But still, they can't help but keep coming back, keep wanting more, keep loving you despite the cost. It's like a pull they can't resist, an energy that ties them to you no matter how much it takes. They feel blessed to have you, but there's a part of them that wonders if this love is taking too much. They don't want to lose you, but they're starting to lose themselves in the process. And they're trapped in this paradox, knowing that their love for you is pure, but it comes with a price that's getting harder to bear. The Bible speaks to the concept of love and sacrifice in John 15:13, where it says, "Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends." But what happens when laying down your life feels like losing yourself in the process? It's a question they've been grappling with, and it's one that's weighing on their heart. They love you deeply, but at what cost? At what point does loving someone become self-destruction? They've been wondering if they're giving too much, losing too much, all for the hope of a love that may never fully fulfill them. And yet, despite all the doubts and the struggles, they can't stop. They can't stop loving you. They can't stop wanting to be with you, even when it feels like they're paying a price they're not sure they can afford. There's a deep desire to make this work, to find balance, to make this love sustainable. But it's not easy, and the weight of their sacrifices is beginning to show. Their friends, their family, the people who care about them, have all noticed the change. They've become distant, withdrawn, and it's clear that something's off. But every time someone asks, they smile and say everything's fine, because they're afraid to admit what's happening inside. They're afraid to tell anyone that this love, this relationship, is starting to consume them. They're afraid to admit that they feel like they're losing themselves. They're afraid to let anyone see the cracks in the foundation of what they've been trying to build. They want to be strong for you, for the both of you, but they're starting to crumble under the weight of it all, and they don't know how to fix it, how to make it right. They're stuck in this cycle, constantly giving, constantly sacrificing, but never quite receiving what they need in return. And though they love you with all their heart, they're realizing that love alone may not be enough to keep them from breaking. They wish you could see what's happening beneath the surface, wish you could understand the toll this is taking on them. But how could you? You don't know the full extent of their sacrifices, the emotional toll they've been carrying in silence. And now, the question is, what happens when they can't keep going like this? What happens when they finally break and realize that this love, this relationship, isn't as fulfilling as they hoped it would be? They're not sure, but they know that something has to change. This love, as beautiful as it is starting to feel like a burden. It's not because they don't care about you, not because they don't want to be with you, but because they're losing themselves in the process, and they don't know how much longer they can keep giving. They wish they could find a way to make it work, to find balance, to have their love without the price. But the reality is that love requires sacrifice, and sometimes the price is higher than we're willing to pay. You may not see it now, but they're fighting a battle inside, trying to keep their love for you alive, while also trying to save themselves. The Bible offers wisdom in Matthew 16:24-5, where Jesus says, "Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. For whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me will find it." This is the challenge they're facing. How much of themselves can they lose before they lose who they truly are? And as they struggle with these questions, they're hoping for an answer, hoping for a way out of this cycle of sacrifice and self-loss. But in their heart, they know that the answer isn't simple. It's not something that can be solved overnight. It's going to take time, understanding, and a willingness to face the difficult truths about love, about sacrifice, and about the price we pay for the people we care about. As time passes, the strain begins to show. The moments of joy are fewer, overshadowed by the weight of unspoken truths. They smile in your presence, but their eyes no longer sparkle the way they once did. There's a sadness behind them, a hidden pain that they're struggling to keep from you. And you sense it. You can feel the distance, the change in the way they look at you, the way they speak to you. But every time you ask them if something's wrong, they brush it off, telling you it's nothing. Yet, deep down, you know it's something. You can't ignore the way they've become a shell of themselves, the way they've stopped living for anything other than you. They've sacrificed their own dreams, their own goals, just to keep this relationship alive. And now, they're beginning to feel lost. They've become so consumed by the need to love you that they've forgotten how to love themselves. And that's the price of this love. It's not just about the sacrifices made in the name of love, but about the slow erosion of their own identity. They've given up so much to be with you, and they're starting to wonder if it was worth it, if the love they're giving is worth the person they're becoming. And as they wrestle with these thoughts, they start to withdraw. Little by little, the conversations become fewer, the touch less frequent, and the connection seems to slip through your fingers like sand. They're still there, but they're not really there. Their presence is only physical, but their heart and soul are becoming more distant with each passing day. They're caught between their love for you and the realization that something needs to change if they're going to survive this. But they don't know how to voice it. They don't know how to say, "I love you, but I'm losing myself in the process." And you, caught up in your own emotions, may not see it until it's too late. You may not see the warning signs, the silent cries for help, until the damage is already done. But there's one truth that remains. Love requires balance. It requires two people who are willing to give, but also to receive. Two people who understand that love isn't about losing yourself in someone else, but about growing together while remaining whole. The Bible reminds us in 1 Corinthians 13:4-7 that love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud. It does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. This love, as beautiful and intense as it may be, needs room to breathe, to flourish without suffocating the very souls of those involved. And right now, their love for you has become suffocating. Not because they don't care, but because they're too deep in it, too deep in sacrificing pieces of themselves. And as much as they want to keep going, there's a part of them that knows they can't continue like this forever. They want to be strong for you, to be everything you need them to be. But they've forgotten how to be themselves in the process. The price they've been paying is higher than they imagined. They can no longer ignore the fact that they are losing their sense of self, and they know that unless something changes, they will lose more than just their identity. They will lose their happiness, their peace, and maybe even the love they've tried so desperately to hold on to. They love you so much, but they're starting to realize that love can't be built on a foundation of self-sacrifice without balance. It can't be built on a relationship where one person constantly gives and the other constantly takes. This isn't about blame. It's about recognizing that in any relationship, both people need to feel whole, both people need to feel seen, and both people need to give and take equally. The Bible speaks to this in Ecclesiastes 4:9-10. Two are better than one, because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up. But pity anyone who falls and has no one to help them up. This is the truth. They're finally realizing that to be truly in love with someone, both people need to be there for each other equally. And right now, they're the one falling, but there's no one there to help them up. They've been giving everything they have, but it hasn't been enough to fill the emptiness that's slowly growing inside them. And so, they're at a crossroads, caught between the love they have for you and the fear of losing themselves completely. They want to be with you, but they also want to find themselves again. They want to love you, but they want to love themselves too. And this, they know, is the hardest part of love. The realization that in order to keep the relationship alive, they must first save themselves. If they don't, they'll eventually have nothing left to give. And they don't want that. They don't want to be just a shell of who they were, walking through life without purpose, without their own desires and dreams. So, they begin to pull back, just a little at first, trying to find their balance again. But the distance grows, and the silence between you two feels heavier. You begin to notice the change, the shift in their energy. And a part of you, the one that loves them deeply, understands. You know they're not pulling away because they don't care. You know it's because they care too much, and they don't want to lose themselves in the process. But there's also a part of you that feels abandoned, hurt by the sudden change. You feel the gap widening between the two of you, and you wonder if you've done something wrong, if you've somehow failed them. And maybe you have, but not in the way you think. Love isn't about keeping someone in your grasp at all costs. It's about creating space for them to be their own person while still being together. And that's the lesson they're trying to learn, the lesson they're struggling to understand. And so, they retreat, not to escape, but to save themselves. And you, left with the confusion and the pain, are left to wrestle with the truth that sometimes love requires us to step back so we can step forward. This relationship, as powerful and beautiful as it may be, comes with a price. But the price isn't just emotional, it's spiritual too. It's about recognizing that love requires balance, respect, and the ability to hold space for both people to thrive. And as they learn this, as they grow, they hope that you'll see it too. That you'll understand that this distance is not about you, but about them finding themselves again. That you'll trust that this is part of their journey, part of their own growth, and that by taking this step back, they're hoping to come back stronger, more whole, and more capable of loving you. The Bible also says in 1 Corinthians 13-7, "Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things." But love also requires us to endure our own growth and find the strength to carry ourselves before we can carry someone else. And that's the reality of the price they're paying. They're bearing all things right now, including the burden of self-discovery, and they hope you'll understand. They hope you'll give them the space they need to rebuild themselves so that when they return, they'll be ready to love you fully, without the weight of past sacrifices holding them back. And if you can understand that, if you can accept that love comes with this price, then you'll both come out stronger. But if you can't understand why they need to take this step, then the love you share may not survive the distance. Because love, in its truest form, requires mutual understanding, patience, and the willingness to let go, just as much as it requires holding on. If this resonates with you, if you've been in a relationship where the price of love felt too high, share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment to show your support for more content that explores the complex and transformative journey of love.